it's Pete Thorn. Welcome to my home, and hey, welcome to another Wednesday Q&A. Yeah, I know it's not Wednesday, but Wednesday's just another name for a day of the week. It doesn't really matter, does it? So, okay, hey, this is where I answer the questions that you ask me by going to my Facebook music page. It's facebook.com/guitarnerd. Go there, send me a question via a Facebook message, and I'll get to your questions as soon as I can in one of these Q&A videos. Just before I get started here, some exciting stuff. You know, I do the Tim and Pete's Guitar Show with my good buddy Tim Pierce. We just uploaded new episodes this week featuring Eddie Kramer. Eddie answers all our questions about all kinds of stuff, Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, fascinating stories about Santana, Woodstock, and hey, Tim and I both play, and Eddie like tweaks the sounds while we're playing, which was like a dream come true for me. It was just amazing. So just really, really fun. So go check out the new Tim and Pete's Guitar Show. And we got lots of episodes coming soon. We also have timandpetesguitarshow.com now. That's our website. All the episodes are lined up there for easy viewing, so you can find them all. And we're really excited about it. Lots of good new ones coming soon. Okay, I'm going to get started on questions. Alan Ashcroft wants to know. He says, am I still doing Study with a Star lessons via Skype? And if not, will I do it again maybe one day soon? So studywithastar.com is a website. They had a lesson service, and you could go there and book time, and I would do Skype lessons with them occasionally. This is going back a few years, maybe even 4 years now. It was really cool. I ended up getting some gigs and going on tour, and then I just sort of lost touch with the website and stuff and haven't been doing it since then. I would think about doing Skype lessons again down the road. I'm sort of slammed doing other stuff right now, but I did really enjoy it. It's a really cool way to be able to connect with musicians all over the world and be able to teach. I like teaching, but the sort of private lesson one-on-one and scheduling and booking things and stuff, that was always sort of daunting for me. So hooking up with a company like Study with a Star, that they sort of handled the booking end of things, and all I had to do was be there on time and stuff like that and just teach. That was actually a pretty cool compromise. I liked it. So yeah, I would consider it again down the road. I don't have time right now, but in the future it would be something I would think about for sure. Okay, so Jacek Polak, he wants to know about 4-cable method. He says he saw my demo with the Helix and noticed I was using it with my amps like the PT100 in the demo. He's got one. He says he's having some noise problems, excessive hiss. He says he's using a 4-cable method with his Friedman BE100 and his exotic BB preamp. And he says he's using it on quite a high level setting. He also has some issues using it with an EP booster with some hiss. Okay, first thing is, anytime you do 4-cable method and you hook up a device like the Helix or any other, it could be the FX8 from the nice folks at Fractal, or other units that you can do the 4-cable thing with. Even if you take, say, a Eventide H9 or a Strymon Mobius, which both let you hook them up 4-cable methods, you can choose to run effects in front of your amp or in the effects loop of your amp. When you do that, you're going to run into ground loop issues because of multiple in and outs. I don't really understand it, but it involves more than one path to ground. And what you have to do is you have to use an isolation transformer on certain sends and returns. So like in my main pedalboard rigs, it's full isolation transformers that are handling all that stuff, so that there is only one path to ground. Dave Friedman does all my rack work, and he knows where to put those things. He knows where to spot those problems, or seek those problems out and solve them before they even happen. So just be aware of that. Running 4-cable method requires some thought about hum and ground loops. The Fractal guys solve it using something called humbuster cables that I believe they ship when they sell the FX8 and they come with the unit. And you can use those humbuster cables, and they take care of the problems. But there's other ways to solve it. I believe when I was doing 4-cable method with the Helix, what I have to do is use an isolation transformer on the send from the Helix that goes to the input of my PT100 amp. The loop seemed okay, like the effects loop portion of the amp, send and return, that part seemed okay. But yeah, I needed an ISO transformer from the send of the Helix to go out to the input of my guitar amp. So just be aware of that. Now, you're saying you're having hiss problems, not buzzing problems. So you're using a really high gain amp, the BE100, and you're running a BB preamp in front of it, which is a fairly high gain pedal. it's like hiss is gonna what you want to do is plug the pedal in without the Helix and see, with all the gain settings and everything being equal, if you run that BB preamp into the BE100 amplifier and it's just as hissy, well, that's the problem right there. If you're adding the Helix in and it's creating more hiss for some reason, which it really shouldn't, it could be a level mismatch somewhere. Like maybe the sends and you can set the sends and return levels of the loops in the Helix per loop. It could be instrument level or line level per loop. So you want to go to the general settings in the Helix and make sure that you've got the levels all set right for whatever types of things that you're patching in. So just be aware of that. That could be the issue. That's the best I can do without actually physically being there to see the rig. Okay, Jeffrey wants to know, have I ever tried the Buzz Feiten tuning system? And yes, I have. I just uploaded a video a couple days ago. It's for a fuzz pedal called it's actually right here, the Twin Bender Fuzz. I used my green Suhr in that. That has the Buzz Feiten tuning system on it. I've had acoustics, like a Washburn acoustic that has it as well. Really cool on acoustics. In case, folks out there that don't know what this is, Buzz Feiten, who's a terrific guitar player himself, he invented an interesting tempered tuning system for guitars. Basically involves cutting the nut slightly different than normal, and also sort of tempered intonation. So some of the strings are intonated, a couple cents sharp, a couple of them are a little bit flat, that kind of thing. And by tempering the intonation on each string and that slightly altered nut, it kind of makes chords play more in tune all over the neck. So the whole guitar sounds more in tune. You know how sometimes when you play, like, good example is you could say maybe an A chord or something at the second fret, where you're covering the second fret except for the open fifth string. Play that chord and that can sound in tune, but then maybe you play an open E chord and the third, the note G sharp on the first fret of the third string. That can sound like a little bit sour or something, like when other chords in first position sound in tune. That's what the Buzz Feiten system aims to eliminate through tempered tuning. It's similar to kind of, I believe, the way that pianos are tuned by piano tuners, and the intonation is tempered. It's not notes are slightly sharp or flat all over the place to kind of play in tune with others, as I understand it. I don't know, I'm getting a little convoluted about the whole thing. Anyway, yes, I've tried the Buzz Feiten tuning system. I've got it on a few different guitars, and I believe it's really cool. Suhr's not doing it anymore. Not exactly. You'd have to ask them why they stopped doing it. They just opted to not do it anymore after a little while, and it is cool though. I like it on the guitars I have it on. Okay, Mickey wants to know, he says he's looking for a high gain overdrive pedal, and he really likes the sound of an Engel Powerball amp. He's using a Marshall JCM 2000 amp, and he joined a Halloween tribute band from Greece. He's from Holland. He's going to have to go to Greece and do fly dates, it sounds like. So he's going to have to rent an amp. So he'd rather just have a good overdrive, on his board, preferably the Engel or Marshall kind of sound. Well, off the top of my head, I just did a review of the BE100 pedal, BE-OD pedal from Friedman. That's just a really, really good sounding overdrive. It's got a very aggressive sound, be great for metal or hard rock. So that would work really well. Sounds great. Other ones you could look into would be the 5150 pedal from MXR. That's a really, really good sounding drive pedal, nice aggressive drive pedal that was designed for Eddie Van Halen. There's also demos on my YouTube channel of that. What else? High gain. I think either one of those would be a really excellent choice. I did a demo of an orange pedal called the Bax Baggitar, I believe it was called. That's a cool one too, but it's kind of more that orange sound. Sounds great for kind of thick, grungy, dirty stuff. So look into those three pedals. Those are the ones that come into my mind off the top of my head. Greg asks, what fuzz pedal could give the tone that Blue Cheer has on Summertime Blues? He says he's currently playing a Telecaster through a 50-watt plexi. Well, I just did the demo of this guy, and this is a really fat round, very vintage sounding fuzz, the Twin Bender from Ramble FX. So this would be a great choice, I think. I went and listened to Summertime Blues, and yeah, I think this could cover that pretty easily. I'm not sure what was used on the original track, but could have very well been an original solo sound tone bender from the sounds of it. The other pedal that I demoed recently that I don't have the demo out yet, it's going to be up this weekend, is the Filth pedal from Joe Gore. That thing is killer. It must be germanium. I'm pretty sure it's germanium fuzz. I gotta check into that. But really, really cool, and also fat and gnarly, and that kind of very vintage sort of, just gnarly sounding fuzz. So yeah, look into the Filth from Joe Gore or the Twin Bender fuzz. Another really good one I gotta mention is the Suhr. Oh God, now I'm forgetting the name of the pedal. The Rufus fuzz. The original version of the Rufus is the one I would recommend for this tone. The cool thing about the Rufus is that it's a fuzz that works well with buffered pedal boards. So if you got any other pedals coming first on your pedal board, or use a wireless pedals like the Twin Bender, you can run into some problems, because anything that's germanium, it just doesn't sound quite right on buffered pedal boards. So this is really something to consider. Using any buffered pedals or buffers up front, or a wireless system. Consider a fuzz that works well with buffers, and the two that I really like are the Rufus from Suhr, and the down here on my pedal board, I forget the name, the Starlight fuzz from Crazy Tube Circuits. It's a little more of a cross between almost like a high gain distortion and a fuzz. It's not like really, it's not quite as sloppy sounding, I would say, as the Summertime Blues sound, a squishy and super vintage sounding. The Starlight fuzz it's a little tighter and more, but you can still do it with that and sound great. Okay, Max Carton, sorry. He wants to know what cabinet I would use in combination with a Marshall Vintage Modern 2266. He says he knows he could get a match cabinet just for the Vintage Modern, but he would like one that would also work with other kinds of amps. 112, 212, 412 are all okay, but he'd consider anything, I guess. But he says the price needs to be between $300 and $700, and cab would be used for gigs. Well, you have to consider, not a lot of information here about what kind of music you play and all that kind of stuff, and so it's hard to say. I mean, a good versatile cabinet, my Suhr PT100 cab is really versatile. We designed it to be that way. It's a 212, but it's not too big. It's nice and deep, so it has a very full sound, so it can compete with that 412 kind of thing. But it's easy enough to carry around, put in the trunk of most cars. And the speakers that we chose for that cabinet, specifically because they're versatile, are the Creamback H's from Celestion. They sounded great, clean all the way through, really dirty to us, and just had a very balanced sound. So, we tried to make a cabinet that was a lot of things to a lot of people. That, the PT100 to me, I always wanted to be a 3-channel amp that could cover from country to rock to metal to all kinds of different styles of music. A lot of 3-channel amps out there on the market are sort of geared towards the metal market. When you think dual rectifier or diesels or amps like that have multi-channels, they're really geared towards distortion, primarily in dirty tones, I find. Not so with the PT100. It has that wonderful clean channel and also great overdrive. So we wanted to make a cabinet that went along with that was versatile and could get terrific clean sounds as well as dirty tones. Hence the PT100 212. So that's a cabinet to consider, but your price is probably, well, you may be able to find one. I'm not exactly sure, to tell you the truth, what the retail is on it, but you're saying $300 to $700. Look at our cabinet, because I'm really proud of it. But also take into consideration, our cabinet is closed back. So the materials, whether the cabinet is open back, closed back, this is, if you gear towards clean sounds and you're kind of like alternative rock, you like clean tones, you like Radiohead or something, or whatever your favorite bands are, roots rock, you might be a person that really likes an open back cabinet more than a closed back kind of cabinet. Open back cabinets tend to sound really great on cleans. They have this really nice blooming sound, and they kind of spread all over the stage because of the open back nature of the cab. And they have just a really, really nice kind of very spacious sound to them that's really cool for cleans. If you play dirty a lot, depending on the style, if you're playing kind of hard, anything veering towards rock or hard rock that involves muted eighth notes or tight kind of stuff, as soon as you lay into distortion in the speaker cabinet, a lot of people want a closed back cabinet because it's got that punch. You close off the back and speakers just project out the front, and it kind of, the low end kind of couples in the cabinet, and it just has that sort of characteristic, sort of more ballsy sound. So think about the type of player you are, the type of music you play, whether you want open back or closed back cabinet for cleans and alt rock or roots rock, country. Maybe you want open back for more hard rock and veering in that direction. If you primarily play distorted, you might appreciate a closed back cabinet more. Speaker choice is the next one to consider, and that is just a whole can of worms. Like I say, the Creamback H works really, really well as a versatile speaker, but you got to look at whether you're a more of a V30 person, or maybe it's not selections for you. Maybe you're more of an American speaker kind of person. So there's a lot of considerations. Primarily, my favorite speaker for dirt is a greenback style speaker. I love greenbacks for dirt. They sound a little dark and maybe a little warm and woolly for clean sounds. That's why we went for the Creamback H in the PT100 cab. It has a bigger magnet. God, there's a lot of information here to think about, but greenbacks generally have 30 or 35 ounce magnets. It's a smaller magnet. They have more mid-range and kind of more of a creamy sound. You're going to do a bigger magnet, 40 or 50 ounce magnet on a speaker. The speaker's going to have more robust lows and more sort of extended top end, sort of a bigger overall picture and less apparent mids. That's what the Creamback H does, but it's still got nice mids in it, so that's why we chose that speaker. So consider all of these things. You've got some research to do, basically. Okay, Joseph says he wants to know about Badger amps from Suhr. He says he's not sure if he would prefer the 30 or the 35. Which one do I like more? I like them both. The 35 has EL84 tubes, 4 of them, to make 35 watts. And for lack of a better thing, it's got a little bit more of that kind of EL84 Voxy thing going on. It's not a Vox in character completely or anything like that, but it has a bit more of that thing. I like the 35 a lot for edge of breakup kind of sounds. Think, Tom Petty or something, like rootsy kind of tones. It really, really excels at that. The 30 with its EL34 tubes, even though the amp is still cathode biased, which generally cathode bias amps have a little bit of a softer attack to me. They're not as punchy as like a 50 watt Marshall type circuit or something like that. It's got a little more, I think a little more matchless or something, cathode bias. So the Badger 30 is a cathode bias amp, but with EL34 tubes, it drifts a little bit more in that sort of Marshall EL34 tone direction. I would consider it to be a better amp for maybe clean cleans and heavier distortion. So consider whether you want to live on that edge of breakup thing with the Badger 35. It'll still do great cleans and still gets dirty, but I think maybe the 30 does the clean cleans and the more heavy distortion. I don't want to say better, but I just maybe prefer it. So once again, it's about what you want to do with the style of music you want to play. Mike Logan says he knows I do a ton of pedal demos, always make them sound great. Thanks. Do I ever come across pedals? That's a good question. Do I ever come across pedals or given pedals that I just don't bond with, that I just don't want to demo because they don't sound good to me? Yes, that does happen. Quite honestly, I think of guitars and guitar gear and pedals and stuff these days much the same way as I do coffee. There was a renaissance for coffee in the 90s where Starbucks came around, and like it or not, even though we sort of consider Starbucks to be like McDonald's these days of coffee, they did, I believe, up everybody's consciousness, popularity, and they upped the game as far as the overall quality of coffee goes. I mean, when you think about like Starbucks, it was like coffee sucked most of the places in the US and Canada, North America. I mean, you can go to Italy and you get a great cup of coffee, and in select places you could find good coffee. But Starbucks brought good coffee mainstream, and that created this explosion of awareness about coffee. And now it would really be hard, I think, to be in business and have a crappy coffee shop, where you just sold garbage coffee that was just average. Everybody's expectations are so high. It's the same thing for me for guitar pedals and guitar amps and guitar gear. There's such good stuff being made these days. It would be really, really hard to be a pedal company and be in business and just sell stuff that doesn't sound good. So consequently, I get all these pedals from different companies to do demos of and stuff, and I generally plug them in, and I'm quite pleased and surprised. It's like, wow, this sounds great. Sure, you just turn the knobs a little bit and you get some great sounds. Does that mean it's like the be-all, end-all pedal for me? No, not necessarily, but I can get a good sound and get inspired and write something with it. That's been my experience. Having said that, once a month or maybe, once every 2 months or something, I get a pedal and I play with it for, it's always the same. I plug it in and I'm always excited to try new gear, like all of us, but I plug it in and turn the knobs, play for a while. Maybe I should try a different amp. Try a different amp with the pedal, play for a while. And I just come to this realization all of a sudden that like, this thing's not for me. I get it. I don't get it, but I do get it. It's not, I can't get a sound out of it that I like. And then I will just kind of like, sort of as politely and professionally as possible, decline to do a video demo at that point, because it doesn't mean it's not good, it just means I don't understand it. It does happen, but it's rare, because I think the quality, the bar is so high that, if you're gonna get to the stage where you're gonna send out a pedal to some guy to make a video of, generally you're gonna have done your homework and know that, it's gotta be good, or what's the point, of being in business. So, okay, he had a second question. This is from Mike as well. Would I ever take the FX8, it's the Fractal Multi-Effects unit, on the road, or possibly the Helix? Well, I got my Helix pedal board right here at my feet, and I love the FX8. I did a demo of it on my YouTube channel. Made this pedal board with the Helix, and I would totally take it on the road. Now, keep in mind, I have done tours where I've used the Axe effects as my primary source of effects, and in not a 4-cable method, but in more like a wet dry wet rig. I've been doing that going back to 2008 with the Axe effects, and I've also used it as my only tone source on tour. So I've toured with it as being my rig. Tours when I've done in-ears and fly gigs and stuff like that. I've done whole runs where I've just used an Axe effects. So yeah, I have no qualms about using these new units for touring and stuff like that. They sound great and they're versatile and just really terrific tools. Okay, last question for today. This is coming from Frederick, and this is a good question. How do you happen to get gigs like the Tsuyoshi Nagabuchi gig, Michel Polnareff, which is my current gig, Mylène Farmer, another French artist I toured with a few years ago? How do you hook up with these gigs, being like a guy in the US and getting on these foreign tours? Do I have to pass several auditions against other guitarists, or they do just ask you to play on some backing tracks from your home studio? It's kind of a multi-part question. How do you get the gigs first? Generally, there are people that are seeking musicians for these gigs. There's some folks from France that are kind of liaisons between France and American artists or American musicians. There's a well-known guy from Italy that does it for Italian gigs as well. The Japanese gig with Tsuyoshi Nagabuchi, the connection was we had a mutual, there's a producer that works with Tsuyoshi. He's based in New York, and we had a mutual friend. And this producer had been sort of talking to Nagabuchi about possibly hiring some American musicians. They both thought it was a good idea, and they kind of formulated this plan to bring over a few Americans. And so, yeah, it was really word of mouth. And that's the thing, is that there's these guys that kind of work on these gigs, and they've got some connection to the artist, and they know about guys like me, I guess, through word of mouth, through mutual friends or other contacts in the business. So you just have to be resourceful. And this comes back around to a recent question about being in a recent article I wrote in Premier Guitar about being in a music capital or music city where you can make other connections and meet people. I mean, these are connections that I've made over the course of a long time of being here and beating the street and doing all kinds of gigs. And my recommendation is that you go out and do whatever type of gig that you can do. If possible, live in a music center and migrate to a music center. Get out and play, meet people, and make connections and network. And these opportunities will start to present themselves to you over time. And can't really say it any better than that. As far as auditioning and stuff like that, it's happened for me always. In all kinds of different ways. With my online presence, I've been contacted by people that said, hey, we've seen what you do on the internet, we like what you do, and we're considering you for this gig, and then it turns out I get the gig. I never really had to audition or anything like that. That is rare, but so cool when it happens. And it's the kind of the power of the internet. It's amazing that way. To have people discover you online and they feel like they get enough of an idea of what you play like and what your thing is from the videos of you online, that's enough for them to make a decision. It's such a cool thing when that happens, because auditioning is tough. yeah, there are auditions that I do as well. So I've done both the French gigs that I've done now. I had to go audition, and videos involved, learning a bunch of songs, go down and maybe do a little video bio on yourself and things like that after the audition, things like that. So no two gigs are the same. Keep that in mind. When you're looking for gigs, you're getting gigs. When you get a gig and you're going to go do a gig and go into rehearsals, when you go on tour, things change so much. Don't think that the way to get gigs or the way to keep a gig or how things are going to be on a gig, it's always different. The video cut off there. That means I'm getting really long-winded. Yeah, you just have to be open to finding gigs in whatever way you can find them, and then if you do get a gig, be open to the fact that there's no. I'm just sort of thinking about how do all the pieces of the puzzle fit together. You say. How does this work, sort of? There is no way that it works. Be ready for anything. You might audition via video. You might go to do an audition and need to learn 10 songs. You might need to learn one song. And you might need to do it using their amp, or maybe they want you to bring your entire touring rig to you know what I mean? It's just like there's no system or anything like that to this stuff. It just kind of is what it is. So be prepared and be ready for any eventuality, and take it all in stride, and just kind of roll with it. And that's a big secret to how you kind of they want to know that you can roll with it and just be comfortable in different situations. All right, that's enough. I'm getting so long-winded today. I'm really sorry. I'm chatty. I drank like a pot of coffee before this. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. Come back and see me for more videos real soon. And hey, have a great week. I am Pete Thorn. Over now. See ya.